All right, go ahead, Thang Thieng. We can start now, Thang Thieng.
Yeah. Namo Sakamuni Buddha. Namo Sakamuni Buddha. Namo Sakamuni Buddha.
Okay, good. Mm. Yeah, go ahead, Thang Thieng. Please.
Yeah, Mopatai. So I say to the great assembly, after I have passed into ascension, who can guard and uphold, read, and recite this sutra. Now, in the presence of the Buddha, let him come forward and speak his vow. This many treasure Buddha, though he passed into ascension long ago because of his great vows, rose in the lion's robe. Many treasure thus come one. I myself and the emanation Buddha who have gathered here surely know this is our aim. You son of the Buddha, who can guard the law, let him make a great vow to ensure that it will endure. He who is capable of guarding the law of the Sutra will the Bhaya offer on to me and to many treasures. This many treasure Buddha dwelling in his treasure tower journeys constantly throughout the 10 directions of for the sake of this sutra. One who guards this sutra will also have offer to the emanation Buddha who have come here adorning and making brilliant all the various words. If one preaches this sutra, he will be able to see me and many treasure thus come one and the emanation Buddhas. What this sutra is saying is when Sakamuni Buddha passed into ascension, and he asked the assembly who will be the one who continue to preach this sutra. Um, so um, so so if these are the people who are willing to make to endure this to make this sutra last forever is the one who will make an offer to Sakamuni Buddha and the and many treasure Buddha. And so so when they preach this sutra and they're the one who will likely to see Sakamuni Buddha and many treasure thus come one and these emanation Buddhas. That's how I understand.
Yeah, thank you. So we talked last time, right? Um, Many treasured Buddha represent uh, our Dhammakaya, our Dhamma body. So since this sutra talk about one vehicle, we talk about that Dhamma body or the Buddha nature. So whoever read this sutra would uphold this sutra would see this many treasured Buddha. That was the meaning there. Tammy, please.
All you good men, each of you must consider carefully. This is a difficult matter. It is proper you should make a great vow. The other sutras number as many as Ganges sands, but though you expound those sutras, that is not worth regarding as difficult. If you were to seize Mount Surmor and fling it as far off to the measureless Buddha lands, that too would not be difficult. If you use the toe of your foot to move 1,000 million fold world, booting it far away to other lands, that too would not be difficult. If you stood in the summit of being heaven, and for the sake of the assembly preached countless other sutras, that too would not be difficult. But if after the Buddha has entered extinction in the time of evil, you can preach this sutra, that would be difficult indeed. If there were a person who took the empty sky in his hand and walked all around with it, that would not be difficult. But if after I have passed into extinction, one can write out and embrace this sutra and cause others to write it out, that would be difficult indeed. If one took the great earth, placed it on his toenail, and ascended with it to the Brahma heaven, that would not be difficult. But if after the Buddha has passed into extinction in the time of evil, one can even for a little while read the sutra, that will be difficult indeed. So he's asking someone to, who can pick up and expound the word after he's deceased, but just talking about how difficult, like nearly impossible it is actually to do this.
You know that in our Vietnamese traditions, there's some people they bow to this sutra word by words in Vietnamese. So one word about one time, one word about one time for the whole sutra. Can you imagine that?
No, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I have a question kind of from last time about because it was talking about how this sutra is the one that can unlock the Dharma body. Is this the only sutra out of all of them that says that makes that claim?
Here, I think we discussed before. The other sutra made the similar claim too, like Surama Sutra, like Diamond Sutra, and so forth. But the essence means that everyone has different paths. Everyone has different affinity with certain sutra. For example, if you love this sutra, this is the foremost one. But if you love Diamond Sutra, that Diamond Sutra is the foremost one. You understand that? Like uh, everyone has different profession, right? For you, accounting is the best, but not for others. You understand now? So you get that?
Yeah, so it's just different ways of learning. So whichever one of the sutras is easiest for you to understand.
Whichever sutra that intrigue your interest and you love that sutra, or you love that path, you love that practice, that's the foremost one. So don't be confused when you read the other sutra. Say, "Oh, this is a foremost." No, you have to understand that according to every other potential. So that's why they have Nichiren, Nichiren set Buddhism. You don't know? Let me type for you. And they specialize in this sutra. Let me type for you. Nichiren. And this one on the Bartau Road, Nichiren Buddhism. So they specialize in this sutra. So they worship this sutra. So every member should decide the titles of this sutra, and they have to decide for them to pray here. Namo Myoho Renge-kyo. That means Lotus Sutra. And later on, these are the subset of Nichiren. So on the Bartau Road in Louisville, there's one center, one Japanese center that follow this Soka Gaika. Let me type for you.
Is that the SGI on Bardstown Road?
Yes, that's as one.
Okay.
That's the one. You saw that, right?
I've drove by them before. No, I've never heard of this, but I just drove by their center
Yeah,
before.
yeah, that's us here. Yeah, right here. Bathhouse Road here. You rode by before?
Yes, but I didn't understand that's what it stood for either.
Yeah, they have the priest. The priest, not the monk. The priest have families, so they pray based on this sutra, Lotus Sutra. That's the foremost one for them. So don't be surprised. Uh, and this is what they call is Soka Gaika International. This is one of the branch is here. Mm, okay. And if, even someone use their blood to write this sutra too. Another sutra, we see how dedicated they are. Mm. And one um, Chinese Viennese monk, I don't know whether he's still alive or not. He used to use his blood to write many type of Mahayana sutra. You imagine, right? Use his own blood, and some people too. They use their own blood to write the sutra. This show dedication. It's beyond your thinking.
Yeah, using your blood, that seems like a bit extreme. Like I could see like, maybe a little bit just to kind of get your point across, but a whole sutra, that's a lot.
Oh yeah, that's the way. Go to Nguyễn, some monks they use the blood to write Kinh Hoa Nghiêm, the Flower Dharma Sutra is sometimes even the Lotus Sutra too. You know that? Mm.
Yes, thầy. I learned that and I watched a movie about that as well.
Oh really? Oh, you
Um,
have that video clip to share later on, not now.
yeah,
Mm.
I think other day I will share with thầy. I
Sure.
don't have it now, but for this Nichiren Buddhism, I remember when I come back from India internship 10 years ago, I also joined them
Oh
in the
really?
Netherlands. Yeah.
How was that?
Um, for me, the first impression, um, they was very peaceful people. But they really, the organization is really big. They really help each other a lot. But at a certain point, I did not want to come there. Yeah, I don't know why, but I follow them. I think for half a year.
Oh really?
Yeah,
Oh.
the Japanese living in the Netherlands. So I follow them for half a year, and they really help each other a lot.
Mm. I remember one time when I was layman in Philadelphia, I walked into one center in Philadelphia, and they say a lot about if you recite this sutra, if you follow their practice, whichever thing you want, you can have.
Yeah, indeed. They are very into this. So they ask me what you want. And then if I say I want this, okay, then go there every day. And there is a small indeed a small frame in which they write down the name of the sutra, and they have a small book, and everyone just reciting behind this. Yeah, I at the beginning I did not have friends when I came back from India, so I followed them just to see and to learn. But after that, I did not want to go there because I rent a room in the Dutch from the Dutch lady, and her neighbor have this. So every weekend they collect all the laymen and women together, have some food together, and then they doing this.
Mm, yeah. Mm. And that's my first impression when I walk into that place, and they like the salesman. I don't want to criticize, but they like to sell people, and that's one time. That's all. Anyway, uh, okay. Mm. And go back. Yes, a lot of people due to this kind of teaching, they really dedicated. into this kind of special sutra. Mm. Mm. And even now, yes, some monks, nuns, and lay people, they still bow to this sutra, one word each time. One
Yes,
word,
thưa thầy.
yeah.
I remember in 2018, I went with my mom to Bulgaria, and then there was one nun. She told me that she do this every verse by verse, and she she told me, I don't know if it's true, but that's why I want to ask you that there is challenge when people seriously practice the Lotus Sutra, because it also might bring up some karma in the past, a lot of previous life that you don't know how to handle it at a certain time, and therefore by doing so, praying word by word, it is a practice to how to say it, to
Eradicate karma.
yeah, yeah, with the support, with the support of the Buddha, like okay, I might did something wrong in the past that due to my awareness, I did that, but now I bow to these words in the with the thinking that that might lighten the yeah, the
Yeah,
bad karma that they ever done.
that's that's superstitious. So we don't,
Yeah,
if they are, if they know Buddhism well with the proper understanding, that's superstitious, no way. And I
yeah,
heard that some people they say that yes, when they decide Dharma and Sutra, uh, they have to handle all the past karma. They blame on if something happened. They say because I decide that sutra, karma come to get me. And no, that's not the case. I don't know. That's superstitious. So that's why people don't understand the meanings behind, and they just try to make the blame to scare people away. So tell me, so don't be surprised, okay? Yeah, don't be surprised when you heard this thing. Even they sometimes they're Buddhist monks, but they don't understand the basic one. Mm.
Do they speak English over there at SGI on Bardstown Road? Do they speak English there? Do they?
But I have not been up there yet, but I think they speak English over there. Yeah.
It seems like if you bow every time you say a word, like it's gonna make it harder to understand. Like you're not gonna be able to really like comprehend, what you're reading or saying because it's too much going on. Is that right? Or have you done that? It's kind of.
Remember this devotion. That's not the for the knowledge. That's for the devotion. For gaining the reason they gain the merit as well as they try to eradicate the past karma. That is what it's about. So that is the religious aspect of Buddhism. But I let you know so that you can be prepared. So don't be surprised. That's I mean everywhere we have some people they really know about traditions, and other they may not know much. They just based on superstition, and that's why I used to remind the followers that you have to be careful. You have to know what you're doing. The sutra for you to learn, to practice, not to worship. Mm, yeah. Uh, uh, so anyway, and Thang Thiên, you understand that Thang Thiên? So probably you may not know much too, right, Thang Thiên?
Yeah, not much. Yeah.
Yeah, because you knew. So don't be surprised too. Okay. Mm. But for the part of the monks who use his blood to write the sutra, in the past, many monks and nuns, even lay people, they did that for dedication to show that they respect the sutra, they value the sutras, they do it out of their devotion, out of their sincere intention. You understand, Tammy? Mm.
So, I mean, it even seems like their devotion is more for the sutra than even their body. Is that what they're trying to say? That they value it even more over their physical being?
Yeah. So they value, I mean, yeah, they value the sutra more than their body. You know, in the past, they use the ink to write, right? They didn't use, I mean, they didn't have the access to internet like this. So, so they wrote the sutra on the paper, on the palm leaves, right? You understand that? And that's just show the dedication. Mm. Uh, and actually, one of my my followers, I think last couple of months ago, she asked me if she can do that. Yeah, there's one lady who live in California, and I told her be careful about your health. Yeah, so that's just show dedication. I think they're more serious than the one about the sutra word by words to eradicate their karmas. Yeah, mô Phật anh Jimmy.
Yeah, move up, but yeah. Sorry, I'm late. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so let's move on then. Yes. Cô Thân Nguyện, please. The last slide. Sorry, the last slide here.
Yes, Thầy. But after I have passed into extinctions, if one can embrace this sutra and expound it to even one person, that will be difficult indeed. If one were to embrace this storehouse of 84,000 doctrines, the 12 divisions of the sutras, and expound it to others, causing listeners to acquire the 6 transcendental powers through one could do that, that would not be difficult. But after I have entered extensions, if one can listen to and accept the sutra and ask about its meaning, that will be difficult indeed. If a person espouse the law, allowing thousands, 10,000, millions, immeasurable number of living beings equal to Ganges suns to become arhats, endowed with the 6 transcendental power, through one might confer such benefits that would not be difficult. But after I have entered extinction, if one can honor and embrace a sutra such as this one, that will be difficult indeed. For the sake of the Buddha way, in immeasurable numbers of lands from the beginning until now, I have widely preached many sutras, and among them this sutra is foremost. If one can uphold this, he will be upholding the Buddha's body. And you good men, after I have entered extinction, you can accept and uphold, read and recite this sutra. Thưa Thầy, in this part again, the Lotus Sutra teach us how difficult it is to understand the sutra, and also it also states that when someone understands this sutra, one can will be upholding the Buddha's body. This is what I understand today.
Yeah. Okay. This is similar. John, can you read, please, John, from now?
It's now in the presence of the Buddha, let him come forward and speak his vow. The sutra is hard to uphold. If one can uphold it even for a short while, I will surely rejoice. So would the other Buddha. A person who can do this wins the admiration of the Buddhas. This is what is meant by valor. This is what is meant by diligence. This is what is called observing the precepts and practicing Buddha. This way, one will quickly attain this unsurpassed Buddha way. And if in future existence one can read and uphold the sutra, he will be a true son of the Buddha, dwelling in a land spotless and good. And after the Buddha has passed into extinction, one can understand the meaning of this sutra. He will be the eyes of the world for heavenly and humanly beings. If in fearful age one can preach the sutra for even a moment, he will deserve to receive alms from all heavenly and human beings.
Yeah, can you summarize, please?
So I think for what it was saying, so like for like being like the present Buddhist and like trying to speak his Tao, so like talks about like how difficult like the sutra is like hard to uphold. So I guess it's saying like if one can uphold it, it would like earn like the admiration of Buddha. So is that it's as if it'll be impressive to like try to uphold like knowing the sutra.
Okay, yeah, it's same idea. Mm. So whoever uphold this sutra will weekly attain the Buddhahood. That means who understand this sutra to recognize they have the Buddha nature. Yeah. It's easy for them to live with that Buddha nature. Then let's see here. I think let's just use a few minutes to discuss about Buddha nature so that we can uh, remind each other what is meant by Buddha nature. Cô Thân Nguyễn, we discussed before, right? What is the Buddha nature?
Yes, Thầy, we discussed before.
Yeah. Can you give one example of our Buddha nature?
Thưa Thầy, today coincidentally I will listen to the secular Buddhism, and I have a very nice example.
Mm.
There was an artist, he paint when he learned about the Dharma. They gave him a rock, and he paints a lot of things that he think about the Dharma on this rock. Few years later, he has some difficulties in his life, and his father passed away. He went through many grief and difficulties. One day, he come to his garden again, and his daughter just saying in a very disappointed way, "Oh, father, look, I'm so disappointed that the rains washed all the Buddha statues away. Now we only see the stone." Then this father tell his daughter, "Okay, don't worry. Now you don't see the Buddha there and all the picture, but now you see the Buddha nature." So Thầy, the meaning of this story is that so this morning I learned, okay, it's also the way how to explain it, because normally we communicate to people, we react to conditions, all the conditions. So it's like the painter paint around regarding the culture, the behavior, the perceptions. But beyond that is a nature that is existent, that exists in the nature of everyone, that the seeds of to be happiness, and it is unlimited potential in the capacity to become the better version of oneself. And for me, that is the Buddha nature.
Yeah, Thân Thiện, you understand that? You understand the meaning of a meaning in the practical sense of Buddha nature. You understand that?
Yeah, more Buddha nature is that everyone has a Buddha nature. A few of them can be able to recognize the Buddha nature, but for the most people, they cannot be able to recognize the Buddha nature. And everyone has the Buddha nature. For the most people that cannot recognize the Buddha nature because it was covered by anger, delusion, hatred. So if they practice the way, they can be able to uncover the Buddha nature, and they can be able to see things and hear things clearly as they never seen before. And with this Buddha nature, they have the wisdom. Um, they practice like the Buddha way, like they practice like the Bodhisattva way, and they don't care about themselves too much, but they care about other people. Yeah, how I understand.
And to me, up to now, you understand what's meaning by Buddha nature? Can you give one example of that?
Yeah, yes, every human being has that Buddha nature, but for some reason, maybe they were too busy to try to chase the living and just not pay more attention on that, like craving, hatred, thinking for themselves. So what we need to do more, that somehow that we need to spread more words into them and let them know about the Dhamma or Bodhisattva, so they open their heart for that Buddha nature. So every human beings, they do have that in their soul, but because the life they live in, and people just forgot how to practice again. So basically, that how I understand that the Buddha nature is always need to be practiced more, given and compassionate, and continue to learn. Yeah, Mofak Batai.
And me, up to now, you understand what's the meaning by Buddha nature in practical sense, in religious sense?
I think so. So when it was first explained to me before I came to Buddhism, it was described as like the divinity within. And so my understanding is not only is it within all human beings, but it's within anything living. So it would be within the animals and the plants and the trees. And it's basically just the very kind of existence, just your natural state of being. And that's what she was describing with the rock. Like once the rock was washed away clean, then you're down to your true existence. And I think that also this is the Buddha nature would be what connects us all together as one, because since we all had the Buddha nature, not only the human beings, but the animals and anything living, that it connects us all together.
Can you give one example, one religious example?
Well, for me, it's easier to like with, I guess, having compassion. So with a person like that's talking to you, being able to have empathy and compassion for them, or a person talking to you and telling you something that happened to them, and being able to reflect it back on yourself. So kind of being able to use people as mirrors, not getting upset with them, but to have it reflect back to you. And the same with like the plants and the trees and the grass, where you have that kind of just natural instinct to care about them and not want to destroy them.
Yeah, thầy giáo pháp, can you give one real recent example of Buddha nature so that everyone can recognize that?
Yeah, more from me. Before I am going to the practical view, we want to make sure that we understand the definition first when we go into the practical view. So I think Tammy bring up the good point is we have to distinguish between the living being and non-living being. The living being, they do have the Buddha nature. The non-living being, we call the Dhamma nature. We don't call Buddha nature. You see the difference between the two? The Dhamma nature is applied for the non-living being. The Buddha nature applied for the living being, regardless what are they. In the hell, in the hungry ghost, in the animal realm, even up to there are 10 different realms, right? We have 6 realms for the ordinary, like us. That means the unenlightened one, not enlightened yet. We also have the 4 realms for the enlightened one. You learn about that already, right? That means the enlightened one, that means the Arahant, to the Pasika, Buddha, to the Bodhisattva, and to the Buddha. And the 6th one, that means the God, the human, a Sutra, and animal realm, and hungry ghost, and the hell. We do all have the Buddha nature. But for the tree, for the rock, for those things, we call Buddha, we call the Dhamma nature. We don't call Buddha nature. Okay, now.
What about things that aren't alive at all, like toys and boxes and couches and beds? Do those have a nature to them too?
Dhamma nature. Dhamma.
That's Dharma nature too.
Dhamma, it means phenomenon. The Dhamma meaning phenomenon in universe. It applies to everything related to phenomenon. Right? Because they have their own nature. The law of the nature basically is the law. It's the universal law applied to the non-living being. The same thing applied to the living being. Okay. So now so for the practical view, if we want to see our own Buddhist nature, we will not be able to see our own Buddha nature directly. But we can indirectly to see the Buddha nature. How do we do that? Through the 6th sense. How do we do from the 6th sense? In the 8th consciousness, the eye, when we contact with the form, right? The ear contact with the sound, and the nose contact with the smell, and keep going, right? The contact before they go to the mind, the mind consciousness. If they don't go to the mind consciousness, we call the non-judgmental. It's called the direct knowledge. Does that make sense? When direct knowledge, that means we don't have any kind of forethinking from the mind, and that we see things as is. We see things as is. That is the beginning of we see the Buddha nature. Because you don't bring things in through the process of the mind. That's why the meditation, the meditator, the way they do it, they sit meditation. The whole purpose for them is when they deal with the world, they don't have any judgment. That means the mind involved. Whatever they see as is. That's the whole idea. To the eye, to the ear, to the nose, to the tongue, to the body. When they taste food, they just taste. When they see object, they just see. They don't have any kind of mind activity. This is called the direct knowledge, or we call the direct awakening. Yeah, that is the beginning, and that's how we be able to purify our Alaya consciousness. Yeah, more.
I don't know if you know the story of the six patriarchs in Zen traditions. So when he was a layman, so he chopped off the wood and sold for other people to survive. That's his livelihood. So one day when he brought the wood to sell for one of his customers who were reciting the Dhamma Sutra, and at that moment, this layman decided to depart that the Buddha teach people that if they want to recognize uh, their pure mind, they need to abide on. They're not supposed to abide on the sound. They're not supposed to abide um, on the sight, on the sound. They're supposed to abide on the things that's not supposed to be abide to. It's nothing nothingness, but they need to abide on. They're not supposed to abide on the sound, the sight, the smell, and so forth. Uh, you understand that, Tammy? You know why?
I mean, it goes along with what he was just saying. So you're not processing and you clear out the storehouse, but it's just completely opposite of anything you've been taught before, or I've been taught before.
Again, that's what you call direct knowledge, or what you call intuition. Yes, without any kind of thinking, another thinking, or word processing. So when we start to think, we found a trap of another thinking. We found a trap of discrimination, good, bad, black, white, and so forth. That's where our problem come from. Let's say when you see your children run around and somehow this is a chair, and when they run across a chair, instantly you know they may fall, they may the chair may block them, or they may maybe tumble in because of the chair. With that instant, right, with that intuition, you recognize a way before word processing, before the thinking. That's the pure nature there. That's your um, that's your wisdom right there. That's why when we decide the sutra, or especially the mantra, we just listen to the word, not to think, because usually we get used of thinking a lot. Like when we see the flower, when we see the cars, ultimately we think, oh, good, bad, I like, or I don't like, and so forth. So we fall in the trap of that kind of thinking, or the word processing. But if we decide the mantra and we just listen and recognize the sound, that's a pure nature there. Let's go beyond the sound. Let's go beyond the sight. Does it make sense? Clear now?
That makes sense. So when you explain it like saying, the mantra, that makes sense. But when you explain it as far as like seeing a chair and then, knowing the danger for the kids, that to me seems like it involves some kind of like that's a thinking process. So I guess it's kind of confusing as to what is actually just like intuition and what is you going into the actual process of analyzing something.
Yes, that's one the example. Another example, you know what I mean by gut feeling, right? That's your intuition there. Wherever you go to somewhere else, even you don't know that area, but you feel your gut feeling that you feel sad. But on other places, at other places, you feel unsafe. That's your gut feeling there because you don't even you don't know that place yet. Even you don't know those kind of people yet. But your gut feeling tell you, yes, I feel that's safe. Oh yes, I feel it's unsafe. Or I feel that is friendly. Yes, I feel that unfriendly. With that kind of feeling, that is your wisdom there. Before the word, before the attitude thinking. So that is why we can invoke our Buddha nature in our daily life. And that's why Zen master, when they achieve that state of mind, they don't analyze things. They just see things as the way they are. Like Thầy Giáo Pháp mentioned, that if we fall in the trap of attitude thinking, that's suffering come. If we go beyond good and bad, black and white, yeah, like or dislike, that's what the Buddha have achieved. That's what he wants us to abide with. Of course, for common people, we every instant of our life, because habitual patterns, we fall into that trap of analytic thinking. Whichever thing we do, whichever thing we communicate with other people, whenever we interact with other people, we fall the two poles, like, dislike, good, bad. We fall that type of duality. It makes sense now? Thân Thiền, you understand now?
Yeah, yeah, well, but
So that's why in meditation, yes, at first we have a lot of delusion in our mind. So when we focus our mind, there's all kind of illusion, all kind of sight. Uh, but we need to recognize that it's not real. Eventually, when our mind calm down, we live with that instant. We live that pure nature there. That's just the aspect of meditation. Plus, when we live that kind of pure nature, we're more healthy physically and mentally. Um, is healthy too, because we don't play around with emotional fluctuation like anger, stress, anxiety, and of course, like some of you say that yes, compassion, loving kindness, all kind of virtues aspect of life that's included in that type of mm, nature. Mm. It makes sense now. Mm. Okay, so please from now on, recognize that that's what the Buddha say here, Buddha nature there. And again, it's not easy. It's not easy to understand. But as much as you understand, you may recognize us. You may trust that. And but of course, it's not easy to abide with that. We live with that too. Even us as monks, we recognize, but somehow we fall in the trap of duality in the every instant of our life. So that's why it takes time. Take time for us um, to filter out those delusions in our mind, especially when we do meditation. Okay, okay, uh, and all right. So let's us move on. And Jimmy, can you mm, can you read where we? Okay, can you read the next one, please? Oh, that's we go.
Number
Oh, we
12.
go to chapter 12. Devadatta. I love this chapter. Yeah, let's move on then. Yeah, go ahead and Jimmy, please.
Yeah, well, but Sutra without ever flagging during those many kalpas.
Oh, sorry, this one here. Other
Oh,
times.
oh yeah, yeah, Mova. At that time, the Buddha addressed the Bodhisattva, the heavenly and human beings. Sutra without ever flagging during those many kalpas, I constantly appear as the ruler of a kingdom who made a vow to seek the unsurpassed Bodhi. His mind never wavered or turned aside. And in his desire to fulfill the 6 parameters, he diligently distributed alms, never stinting in heart, whether the gift was elephants or horses, the 7 rare articles, countries, cities, wife, children, maid servants, or his own head, eyes, marrow, and brain, his own flesh and limbs. He did not begrudge even his own beings and life. At that time period, the human lifespan was immeasurably long, but for the sake of the law, the king abandoned his kingdom and throne, delegate the government to the crown prince, sound drums, and send out proclamations seeking the law in 4 directions and saying, who can expound the great vehicle for me? To the end of my life, I will be his provider and servant. Yeah, mô Phật và thầy, what I understand, what they say is regardless of how many life in you have and how long you can live, even is your limb or whatever you have is not the true you have. So that he want the only thing that help him that the become the Buddhahood that can help him, and all the other thing it just kind of, to me, I'm thinking it's never last for him. Yeah, move on with that.
Yeah, thank you. So he say that in the past, right, in many paths, so he used to sacrifice everything to seek for the Dharma. That's what it's about. So he say that whoever can expound, can explain the vehicle for him, he will be their servant. So of course, this is very critical. There's one story. I don't know whether I told you guys here or not. That when the Buddha passed, I was a king. So a neighbor king tried to invade this virtual kingdom, but he could not. So they tried to make a scam that the neighbor king sent a minister to the virtual king and asked the head of the virtual king, because this virtual king made the vows, whichever thing people need, I give out everything. And because of his vows, he said, yes, I will, give me 7 days so that I can make arrangement, and after that you can chop off my head. And that's a story. That's one of his story in the past, that he willing to give out everything, even his body. Thân thiền, that's critical. Thân thiền, what do you think?
Yeah, more Phật thầy, the way that he chop off his head.
No, someone asked for his head and he willing to, yeah.
This is something that normal people can't do.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cô Thông Nguyễn, you heard about this story before, right?
Yes, thầy. I read in the book.
Yeah. How did you think at first? Was surprised to you, or what do you think?
When I was kid, I I watched also a movie about the Bodhisattva that when people come asking for even the eyes, they put the eyes out, everything. And I could not understand why they do that and how they can do that.
Mm.
But later I could theoretical I could understand it, but in practice I cannot do it like
But up to now, you know why, right? It's so
yes.
critical. Why do they do that? They can give out everything, anything that people ask for.
There's non attachment, so that
So that's the first. Right.
yeah.
Non-attachment. Yeah. And Jimmy, you heard about this couple story before, right?
Yes, yes, but the ordinary people cannot do that. But now, the more I follow you and do more praying and sutra and mantra, I learn a lot. And that's now even myself, if they want it, I think I give it to them because that's it.
Oh,
They just
really?
yes, absolutely. Because it's he can do it. Why not? Why can I do it? So
Mm.
Yeah. Tell me, that's beyond normal people thinking, right? If someone asks for uh, the head, that Bodhisattva could give out too. It's just beyond human thinking, right?
Yeah, it is. And I can kind of understand because especially with reincarnation, they're not as concerned. But it just seems like the person that's asking them to do that is getting what they want and they shouldn't, because they probably don't want them around because they're causing problems for whatever reason. So it seems like, again, we're going back to you're giving them what they want, even though it's probably what they need, not what they need.
Mhm. But remember, let's say um, it's better for you what do you call uh, mm, to uh, uh, to be a giver than receiver. Why is that? Thân thiện, you know why? It's better for you to be giver than receiver. You know why? Thân thiện.
I think I heard the question before. It is better to receive because it's better to give to be giver because when we give someone, we are really happy and we don't owe any karma. Oh no, um, that we don't owe any doubt.
Mm.
But when we receive from someone, we are likely to owe debt to that person.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Cô Thương Nguyễn, can you elaborate more? It's better to be a giver than the receiver.
Thưa thầy, in my opinion, at the moment being assist, there is how to say that we have the karma law of cause and effect, and if we constantly only receiving, we are in debt
Mm.
somehow. And if we learn to give, we also at the same time learn how to make more to give. And by doing this, we somehow we have more energy to do or to grow, because by receiving, in my opinion, is we limit ourselves into very small stage box, and by giving we are practicing to expand our energy
Mm.
and our state of mind. This is in my opinion today.
And Jimmy, what do you think? It's better become be a giver than the receiver.
Yeah, một Phật bạch thầy. Yes, I rather be better in the giver than the receiver. That means a giver that mean help everybody else. They need it for in on the other hand, receiver that mean that when you you be own that favor for that particular what you receive, and you need to down the road you have to pay the debt, you know. So I rather to be the giver, you know.
Okay, and that's the basic one, right? That's why the Buddha put the first paramita, right? Practice of giving, generosity. When we give out, the more we give, the more we detach ourselves from anything else, or the more we do a good karma too. Um, so, but for the giver again, I mean that for the receiver, yeah, we owe someone else, so we be controlled by others. Mm. So that's why Tammy just mentioned about what happened if someone asks something that they may not need to. Yes, if they ask something that they may not need to, and if they receive that type of items, they have debt there, right? They owe the debt there. Yeah. Okay, so is this time is up? Let's just stop here then. Okay. All right. Let's finish then. Go ahead, Thang Thiện, please. Okay.
Namaste Kamuni Buddha, Namaste Kamuni Buddha, Namaste Kamuni Buddha.
Thank you. So see you then.